We are back, and once again, like we did a couple of vlogs ago, we are coming right out of the gate with a crazy hand. One of the most talked about hands that I played in the year 2020, and the last hand that I played in the year 2020 that I'll be mentioning on this vlog. I talked about an interesting December. Well, this played a role in that for sure. And I can't get video of every session, so this qualifies there, but I did get a little video at the end of the hand, as you will see. But the hand starts out when we get a $20 raise from +2, and a call from the low jack. I have ace 10 of spades in the cutoff, and I make the call as well. The blind comes in 2, so we have 80 in, and the flop comes 3 of spades, 4 of spades, queen of hearts, giving me the nut flush draw. It ends up getting checked to me here, and I decide to take a stab at it. I bet 50. The blind calls. Then, +2 check raises to 200. Low jack gets out of the way, and it's back over to me. So I already have 50 in here, and we're playing 1,000 deep, so I think this $150 call is pretty much automatic. So it's back over to the big blind, an older guy who's not an OMC by any stretch because, well, he plays an extremely spewy, somewhat unpredictable style. Nice guy, though, I gotta give him that. Anyway, he then decides to back raise to 500 after just calling my $50 bet. Now, +2 starts thinking about this for a while. And I've already decided that if he jams all in, I'm going to have to fold. But instead, he just calls. So we've already got $1,300 in the pot. And I think now, with these added odds for me, this $300 call with my nut flush draw is a call that I have to make. So I do. And we have 1,600 in, going to the turn, which comes the 7 of spades, giving me the nuts. Checked to me, and it's a rare opportunity for me to toss a hockey puck into the pot. That's a $1,000 chip, for those of you that don't know, from the peppermill. Oversized ones there. So I toss it in, and the big blind snap calls. Like he can't get this money in faster. And then it's on +2, and he thinks about this for quite some time. Thinks and thinks and thinks, and finally throws his hand away. That would end up proving very beneficial to me, as the river came another 7. And +2 ultimately had a set of 4s that he laid down, much to a lot of people who talked about this hand, much to a lot of their surprise, and mine as well. He ended up laying down that set of 4s. He would have boated up on the river. Instead, my nut flush takes it against the big blind. I do not think he had a flush as well, or he would have showed his hand. If I had to guess, I'd say he had an overpair with a spade, or a queen with a redraw to some sort of a spade, if I had to guess, knowing how he plays. So that was one more example of how December 2020, poker-wise anyway, was quite good for me. Certainly not something you can count on happening a lot, but I won't complain. Hoping for a little bit of that in 2021. It had definitely occurred to me that it had been a while since I had vlogged at a place other than the peppermill. So I decided to make the rare journey to the other casino in Reno, where you will occasionally find some 3-5 no-limit hold'em, and that is the Atlantis. And they do indeed still play 3-5 there, and it was fun to play 2 blinds again for the first time in a while. Also fun to sit in their chairs. I absolutely love the chairs at the Atlantis and hate them at the peppermill. Anyway, we jump into the game, and we get a limp. I pick up pocket queens in the small blind and make it 25. Limper calls. So with 50 in, it comes 10-9 deuce with 2 clubs. I bet 30, and he does not call, and we get on the scoreboard early. Next hand under the gun limps, and I have ace 10 in the cutoff, and I make it 30. Limper calls. So with 65 in, it comes ace queen 9 with 2 clubs. He donk leads for 45, and I have an obvious call here. So with 155 in, the turn is an offsuit 8, and he bets out into me again for 180. I've seen this guy play a little bit, but not really enough to know him. Ace-king doesn't make any sense, given his limp, and it feels really strong for ace-jack. I figure he's check-raising his flopped monsters, so I decide on a call. With 515 in, the river is the 8 of clubs. He checks, and I simply check it back here. He shows jack-10 offsuit for a straight. I highly doubt that he was folding to a river bluff had I tried it. Then I pick up pocket nines and raise to 25, getting 2 OMC callers. The flop comes 9-10 Jack Rainbow. I bet 50 and both call. The turn is a slightly above average card. It comes the 4th 9, giving me quads. I opt for a small bet in this spot, thinking that I'm normally against hands like Queen Jack. I bet 75, but as I mentioned, these guys are OMCs, which means they're really tight, and both do end up folding. I really do think that I have had extremely bad luck over the years when it comes to turning nut hands like this and fast playing them. I feel like I simply never get action, and slow playing is often the better technique. Later on we get 2 limps, and I have ace jack of hearts in the hijack. I make it 25, the button calls, and both limpers fold. So with 65 in, it comes ace 8 deuce with 1 heart. I bet 20, and the button raises me to 60, which I call. So with 185 in, the turn's the 9 of hearts, giving me the nut flush draw. I check, contemplating a check raise. The button is clearly playing with his chips here, thinking about how much to bet. However, the dealer, for some reason, thinks that he checked, even though I knew he didn't. He then puts out the river, which is the jack of diamonds. And the button then decides to say, well, I never checked the turn. But he doesn't really seem to care at that point, though. It was really bizarre. And I'd soon come to see why. Still, the fact that I had rivered 2 pair makes it so I feel like I have to bet out here. So I make it 85, hoping he had a hand like ace 8. He snap calls the river. So we have a pot of $355. I show my hand, and he shows ace jack also. So had the dealer not burned at the wrong time, my free roll would have been a hell of a lot bigger, but it likely would have still resulted in a chop. Playing 5-handed under the gun limps, and I have ace jack of diamonds this time in the cutoff. I make it 25, and he calls. So with 55 in, I flop top 2, ace jack 3, 2 hearts. He bets out into me for 30, and I raise him to 85, which he proceeds to call. So with 225 in, the turn's an offsuit 10, and now he checks. I bet 125 here, thanks to the appropriate sizing, and he check calls. So at 375 in, the river is the 5 of spades, and he checks. I bet 175 here, but in all honesty, I immediately knew it was too much. He folds instantly, and I'm assuming that he had a flush draw. I lost a few small pots, but then, still 5-handed, we get 2 limps, and I pick up ace-queen on the button. I raise to 25 and get 3 calls. So with 100 in, it comes 7-7-4 with 2 hearts, and nobody bets. Turns an offsuit ace, and it gets checked to me. I bet 30 and get 2 callers. With 190 in, the river is an offsuit jack, and again, it gets checked to me. I bet 50, and the small blind calls. Hijack folds, so we have a $290 pot, and I show my hand, and I'm good. Then I pick up ace-king in consecutive hands. The first, I ended up 3-bet folding pre-flop, after I made it 100, and a pretty unpredictable guy jammed all in for 600. Then, I 3-bet it to 100, and got 3 calls, with people thinking that I was steaming. I got an ace-10-4 flop, and lost to a set of 10s. Fortunately, it was a 3-way pot, and that resulted in me losing a lot less than I could have. Then 7-handed again, we get a $15 open from under the gun, and 3 calls. I pick up pocket jacks in the small blind, and I 3-bet it to 75. The big blind cold calls. The original raiser folds, as do the limpers. So with 200 in, the flop is 9-5-3 with 2 clubs, and I bet 115. The big blind then jams all in for 225 more. Now, I'd already seen him get enough money in without strong hands to know this was a call I had to make. So we have an $880 pot, and he has exactly what I'd be hoping for. He has pocket 10s. He doesn't improve, and we take it down. So at that point, we're up about 300. Then I get dealt ace-king of hearts in the hijack and make it 20. The small blind 3-bets to 70, and I make the call. So with 145 in, the flop comes king 3-7 rainbow, and he checks, which is the last thing that I wanted to see, believe it or not. I don't mean because I'm anxious for him to shovel chips in there. I'm worried about it for other reasons. I check back because this is often a trap in 2021 live poker. And if it's not, well, it means I'm probably not getting much action. The turn comes another 3, and he comes out and bets only $55, which definitely caught me as a little weird, but obviously I'm going to call it. So with 255 in, the river is a 9, and now he bombs it. He bets 200, and I just felt sick. I figure I just cannot catch a break with ace-king to save my life. And despite the fact that I was certain that he wouldn't check aces on the flop, so I can rule that out, he wouldn't bet queens here, so I can rule that out, and I'm pretty confident we weren't chopping, I'll be honest with all of you guys, I still couldn't find a fold. So I made the call, and we have a $655 pot, and he shows pocket kings, which was about the least surprising thing I've ever seen outside of the Chiefs getting back to the Super Bowl. And by the way, if you're asking me, no, I'm still not over Super Bowl 54. So don't judge me. Okay, so a $224 win. Pretty much an average type of day. I could have lost a lot more on the ace-king against pocket king's hand, but I won't complain because the game was good. And able to get a win out of it is nice. And nice to be back here at the Atlantis. This is the place where I cut my teeth playing poker back in 2009, 2010, before the peppermill room opened up, the new room there, which is now coming up on its 10th anniversary in March. So good to be back here, good to get a win in, and really appreciate you guys for watching, liking, and subscribing. And what can I say? I'll see you back here next time.